Basketball fans, summer is over. School is back in session. Another season of Raptors brand basketball on Raptors Today. I'm Akil Augustine, your man in the powder blue, Sherman Hamilton, the principal, Paul Jones, producer Jake on the boards. Jake wants me to ask you guys about your summers, but I already know how it went. Sherman played golf, and you were at the Olympics, but go ahead and tell them for yourselves.
Mine was great. Played lots of golf.
Yep, we know
a little bit of travel, and can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, I got some golf in before Paris, but being at the Olympics is always a great experience.
All right, now we got to shift focus of the nation from the Olympics and the disappointment that was to another Raptors season. Masai Ujiri spoke with the media, and we take you to his comments now.
Just want to ask you how, if you were to attach an adjective to this season coming up, what would you use? Would it be rebuilding? Would it be, would it be competitive? Like, is there a kind of evaluation you might want to provide for the season before it even starts?
I would use the word rebuilding. That's the right word to do. I think we have a clear path now going forward. First of all, thank you for being here, and hope everybody's doing okay. Yes, rebuilding, young team, growing team. I think we set a path that we went into the draft last year and got a couple young players, and we want to continue to grow and build this team around Scottie, who's 23 years old, and continue to grow as a team. So yes, in sports, you always want to be competitive and you play to win. We're going to play to win, but it is a rebuilding team. I think everybody sees that like loud and clear.
Okay, Michael Grange doing his best to corner Masai and get him to assign an adjective to his expectations for the season. And I think that's always one of the key parts of Media Day for the Raptors is the media members trying to get Masai to put a label on what he's calling this team, because then that dictates exactly how they're going to report on it and what they're going to say about it. So for him choosing to use the word rebuild, Jonesy, what does that mean moving forward?
Well, and people were always a little bit deferential or hesitant to say, well, it is a rebuild, but Masai's not saying that.
Well, that was the issue the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, but the last couple of years, going back, you had the remnants of the championship team still. You still had Fred around. You still had Pascal around. OG. You still had these guys that had their hands on the trophy. So, and Masai said it there about being competitive and you play to win. I don't know if you'd necessarily call it a rebuild when you have those guys around and you have maybe higher expectations. It's clear now. Fred's gone. OG was traded. Pascal was traded. You're being led by a young guy in Scottie Barnes who you gave a whole bunch of money to looking forward. You gave Emmanuel quickly, another young guy, money moving forward. It is a rebuild. It is a situation where you're trying to have these guys to come together to make you a competitive team, or at least put you in that competitive ilk, because some of the other players may not be around when you're winning, or if you keep ascending toward a championship. So I think that's a proper adjective right now, and it's obvious because of what happened last year.
Well, it's the right word. I mean, you think about the elements that are going into this season. Number one, they're young.
Very.
Number two, there's not a lot of familiarity amongst the core group of the young guys.
Yeah.
You look at Scottie, you look at IQ, you look at RJ. All these guys are young. They played together one season. Scottie missed a lot of the season too.
Part of a season.
So you're thinking that there's not a lot of cohesion yet. So there's an unknown. So you don't know what it's going to be like. You just look at their off-season workouts and you say, they look like they're going in the right direction. They look like they've done some things to improve their statuses. And then you have to look at it and say, well, we can't guarantee that this team is ready to be that team. So as we continue to move forward, we will rebuild this if necessary and try to make it different if we have to. But there's so many questions going into the season. And what you know is your core is young. And if they figure it out, they can be a good team down the road.
It's clear what the direction is. It's unclear what the identity is. And a lot of that falls on Darko. So let's listen up.
Last year at this time, you were coming into a new job, first time here. How have you developed over the past 12 months, and what did you learn over the summer to help you improve over last season?
Great question, Aaron. Obviously, I spent a lot of time thinking about that, and Biggest learning last season was how to manage time and how to manage a lot of people. Coaching staff, plus medical, plus all the players on the roster. It brings down to more or less 50 people that you need to manage every single day. And finding time, how you can touch every person and talk to every person and make sure that they are doing well and that you can help them was something that I was learning along the process. And for me, the most important thing was creating processes, how I'm going to be dealing preparation-wise for the games, how I'm going to be preparing for the practices. One thing that I want to do much more this year is to rely on my coaching staff. Last year was getting to know each other, getting to know what I stand for offensively, defensively. We made some tweaks over the course of the summer. And so this year I really want to have my coaching staff to own more things and that I can rely on them even more. As far as for basketball, I always want to learn. I always want to be open book. I'm learning from other coaches. I'm learning from my players, and I'm always open book to learn and get better.
Coming up, year 2 for Coach Darko, a somewhat surprising choice for some people when the Raptors initially made the choice. Now, I can sit back here and honestly tell you guys, there's a lot going on last year, but even stepping away from it, I don't have a strong grasp of exactly how Darko is going to approach this group. We know we talk about defense. We know we talk about utilizing the big man in a more European style where it's a little touch and go with him. But for you guys, and Sherman, I'll start with you, year 2, what are some of the key telltale signs you're looking for in Darko as he helms this group?
Well, I think he established that he wanted this team to be a faster-paced team, a team that was going to move the basketball, play unselfishly, and play with some tempo. And I think those things were evident when they were healthy. You saw them play with a certain pace. I think this year, we heard a lot of conversation about this, the defensive side of the basketball.
Yeah.
Can they be better on that side of the basketball? And I think a lot of times, especially in training camps, the defense is ahead of the offense, because you can implement more strategic things defensively and the flow things offensively come over time. And I think this team will have the opportunity to do that, really get solid or get more intent on their defensive preparation. And I think that'll be a sign for Darko, but also for Darko, the ability, and I thought he did a great job of this last year. He had the ear of the players. They took to him. They listened to him. They communicated with him, and that's part of his style. He wants everybody to talk to him. And I think this year, with a year under his belt, so all communication is not great, but at least people are communicating, and I think he'll understand more about what communication means, whether it be with players, whether it be with management, whomever he's dealing with, he'll understand that better. And experience isn't just about the players. Experience is for a guy like Darko, who's got a year under his belt, and that institutional knowledge that he gained last year will continue to grow this year.
Now, selfishly, I want to jump in here because I want to talk about something. Like, we're talking about defense, and we hear so many years, and especially with this Raptors group, defense. But at the time, the scoring was out of control in this NBA, right? And then this year, post All-Star, we saw teams like Minnesota allowed to really change the way the game is being played on the court, hand check, or not really hand check, but play a little bit more physical. Is that a trend, and is that what the Raptors are trying to capitalize on, Jonesy? And I'd love it if, Sherm, you could chime in too.
I don't know if it's a trend, Akil. I think that was, to me, it was a reaction after the All-Star break last year.
Yeah, because it was a reaction.
The offense was crazy, and there was a sect of the NBA that values the purity of the game, saying, well, wait a minute, like, you can't touch a guy, you can't be a little bit physical.
I'm of that ilk.
I'm in that too. Like, there's got to be a little bit of give and take. It can't all be offense. And it's gone that way in every sport: hockey, football, like baseball. Like,
I'd hate to be a free safety in the NFL.
Well, and so I think, to me, that was a reaction. Is it a trend? I don't know. We'll see if that continues at the start of this year. But what I do know is, as much as we talk about offense, it's almost key stops that you have to get over the course of the game. Getting a timely stop, getting one in a situation where you're on the comeback or you need to preserve the game. And I think you can't just produce those and pull them out of your hat. It's something that has to be. You can't go to the gym once, lift weights, and say I'm in shape. No. It doesn't happen like that. I've tried it. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It's got to be purposeful, intentional, consistent, and then maybe you'll get that stop when you need it. You can't just pull it out of your hat.
Sherman, quickly, you buying this version of the NBA? Are we going to see lower scores?
No, we're not going to see the scores dip precipitously, but I do think you think about a team like Minnesota. Chris Finch is a coach, and Chris Finch is about an older school kind of get after it defensively. He's an offensive mind as well, but he understands how you win is defense, and I think we're going to see some more of that. But the NBA wants scoring. They do want scoring, and we're going to see scoring. Yep. You're going to have some teams that are going to buy into the defensive end a bit more intently than other teams, and we're going to see the differences in those games.
In true Toronto man fashion, not only could you catch him in Florida and Spain, but our guy Scottie Barnes was downtown Toronto working out at the new TMU. But today, he was speaking with our local media at Raptors Media Day.
Talking about this new role of a leader, have you feel like you've always been a natural leader? And what have you found in terms of being a vocal leader or being a leader by example? Like, what have you found in terms of differences in that role?
I would say, I'm usually accustomed to being just that leader by example. You see I go out there, play hard, showing a lot of effort. Once the game gets going, you see different things throughout the game. You talk to your teammates, you're communicating. It's not really something that's super hard. It just comes natural to a lot of people. Some people are different from others. But me, once the game gets going, your whole mindset just changes. You do scouting, you do game plan, and then your mind just gets going and trying to just figure out ways to win. Once the game gets going, the ball gets tossed up, I'm trying to win. And you adjust within the game what the team's doing. So it's just about being able to get that game plan and communicating to your teammates within those moments of what you see out there, what you find out there, and then, talking to these guys off the court, just build that bond and that relationship with them is just one of my main goals this summer.
All right, lots of talk about where will the Raptors end up. Are they a play-in team? Are they playing for a draft pick? Whatever. Wherever they go is going to be because Scottie Barnes led them there because he's clearly the face of this franchise. So as a leader, what are the biggest signs that things are going in the right direction that you're looking for, Jonesy? Does he need to be more vocal? Because he talked about being more of a leader by his presence in the
selectively,
game.
I think he needs to be more vocal. If you're a leader by example and being vocal and boisterous is not necessarily in you, then it's not going to suddenly appear. But
it'll look fraudulent.
There are times when you do have to say something. And I think it might even be more impactful if you're a guy that doesn't say stuff and leads by example. And then when you say something, I think people will have a tendency to listen. That said, I'm looking for signs of this group coming together, playing together, the stuff that's coming from Darko to the team, maybe through Scottie as the leader, and them acquiring some more cohesion, them being able to, in terms of the rebuild, play well enough with some of the teams in what you would consider the top tier of this league. So that to me is a sign of development. And just watching Scottie, how he plays in those situations, how he handles the inevitable defeat or failures that will come. How do you bounce back from those?
So a lot
things?
of it's going to be based on his body language, his reaction, the press conferences post-game.
And then how you come back from it. Are you backing up what you're saying as you move into the next part of your game?
Yeah, I think when you're looking at a leader, consistency is key.
Yeah.
You've got to be consistent about your message, about how you go about business, how you work out, how you practice.
Your attitude, your smile.
How on time you are. As you said, the intangible things that people are looking at, and they don't want to see this fluctuation. They want to see consistency. I think back to a former head coach for the Raptors in Dwayne Casey. He was as consistent as there was with his message about how to play the game.
Pound the rock.
You might not like it, but he's delivering the same message, and there's a lot of respect for that. And I think Scottie, being a 23-year-old, he's going to have some up and downs as he figures out how to be consistent as a leader. But remember his rookie season. There were times in the game where Scottie was by far the de facto leader because he took games over. So by action, he says he's a leader. I believe it. I've seen it. But as a leader grows, you understand different people need different things from you, and you have to lead in different areas. So it's going to be fun to watch how he expands his leadership, and we'll be able to see some of it on the court, but a lot of it might happen behind the scenes where those conversations are happening, those practices where he's got to be the leader. Those things we might not see, but we'll see some of it on the court.
Now it's time to check in with the Toronto Knickerbockers, IQ and RJ.
We've heard from Masai and Darko today about how this is going to be a rebuilding year, but obviously, you're a competitor. You want to win. How do you balance that as one of the key parts of this young core?
Well, I don't think there's any balance. I think you come into every game and to prepare to try to win. Will we be young? Will we be learning a lot still? Yeah. Are we probably maybe not as talented as other teams, maybe, but that's no excuse to not play hard each and every night. No excuse to not give 110%, and no excuse not to be prepared against whoever you go against. So obviously there's building blocks and steps that you have to take to reach where you want to be, but there's no excuse to not come out and try to win every night.
You touched on this a little bit, but this is obviously you're here with the team at the start of the season rather than being traded mid-season. How much does that help you in terms of your preparation, knowing the playbook, knowing your teammates, all that stuff?
Yeah, it's huge. Just being able to start out here is a lot. It's a lot different, than kind of coming in midway. Like midway, I was playing without really knowing any of the plays. I got there I think I played 2 days after I got traded or something like that. So, just learning everything on the fly was fun. But now to be here to, like I said, be locked in and from the jump, is something that, something I like. It's more comfortable just for me and kind of for everybody. We're able to know what we're doing and the direction we're going from the start.
All right, it's weird to hear RJ say he was getting 20-plus points a game without knowing the plays, because that's basically what happened once he arrived in a Raptor uniform. So, Sherman, is it fair to have greater expectations or, 20 a game, couple rebounds? What's the expectation for RJ?
Well, RJ can score. Yeah. You've seen him score.
And
it's not a surprise not knowing plays. He found a way to score.
Yeah.
It's what he does. And I think when you're a good player, you can assess what's happening and figure out the spots that you can take advantage of until you learn the plays. And I think we've heard over the years players talk about it, having a full training camp to really get ingrained in the system. You're not jumping on a moving bus. You're going into training camp to understand all facets of everything, and you get more time to be around players in different scenarios. And I think for RJ, like everybody else, it's going to help. And, sometimes experiences don't just come in the form of training camp. I mean, RJ had a summer where he garnered a lot of experience internationally. So that you build into what he's going into this year, and understanding that he plays a vital role in this young core moving forward. That added pressure and that understanding, I think, for a guy like RJ will give him added energy and an added, I think, intent to get the job done at a high level consistently, because we've seen him be able to score the basketball. How is his game going to grow? How is he going to get better and help this team outside of just scoring? That's another element to look at. So I'm really interested to see how he develops this year as well.
Jones, the IQ gets his bag, right?
Yes.
He gets paid.
Yes.
The money's
Yes.
in the account. Now the real question is, a facetious remark maybe, but he's one of the best 3-point shooters on this team. They're saying maybe 10 threes a game, but without them really addressing, Gary Trent's out, Grady sure gets those extra shots, but when it comes to shooting, he's going to be a big part of what this team does, because he's probably one of the most capable guys on the perimeter.
That's what they had him doing in New York, and to kind of punctuate Sherm's point about RJ, and both you guys talked about it, finding a way to score. RJ was in a bit of a box in New York.
Corner threes.
Right. Randall had the ball. Brunson had the ball. Okay, now it's your turn, and I better do something with it.
With 6 seconds on the shot clock.
Quickly was the guy that came off the bench the same way. Okay, let's get in there. You're the mini microwave. We expect you to score. He's come to Toronto now, and like RJ, is in a new role. He is the point guard. He's responsible for scoring, but he's also responsible for distributing, getting other guys involved, being more intentional at the point of
and
attack,
spacing, which I think is going to be a huge issue for this team.
He has all those things on his plate, and I liked what he said at the end, where he basically said, "Yeah, we're rebuilding, but that doesn't mean we're trying to lose games.
You can still play hard."
And he talked about the winning aspect of things, and it's always more fun. The rebuild, everything looks better when you win. So I'm looking for his development to be holistic as well, not just with the shooting that he came to Toronto with and that he's good at, but the other things that I talked about: distributing the ball, as you said, running the offense, being responsible for the spacing,
and keeping that 3-point percentage up,
being a good defender. We talked about defense in the last block. It's something that also has to be consistent with IQ.
Dikembe Mutombo, NBA legend, Georgetown Hoya alum. One of the reasons that I fell in love with this game as a young man has passed, and he had an impact on a lot of us, but more significantly, he had an impact on Masai Ujiri, who was a close friend. Let's hear Masai now.
I'm sorry, it's a tough one. I have to say, though, that guy, he made us. He made us who we are. That guy is a giant, an incredible person. Yeah, who are we without Dikembe Mutombo? Not possible. It really is not. I went to Dikembe Mutombo's hometown with him. I went to his hospital. You have no idea what that guy means to the world. I mean, he's gone. He left us. To Mutombo's family, to Mama Rose, to his kids, there's no words. That guy was the biggest giant that you can ever find.
And do remember the Toronto Raptors kick off their preseason against Washington at the Bell Center in Montreal, and we will be in Montreal all week, so stay tuned to NBA TV Canada for Raptors Today. We got you covered.